I'm joined now by Peter Lee in Texas. He's an associate professor of East Asian politics, as well as animal policy and law in China at the University of Houston in downtown. Professor, want to get your take on the success on China's programs so far, its conservation efforts, especially what we saw with the pandas and panda corridors.
Good to be here. I have to say that China has made great progress in the last decade also, especially in panda reservation and other iconic species protection, such as Asiatic elephants and the formerly endangered ibis. So these are all the efforts of the Chinese government in the last 4 decades, especially in the last 10 years in particular.
We saw the story about the South China tigers and the kindergartens they're trying to bring about. Do you think at some point eventually we could see those tigers go back into the wild?
I definitely hope so. It is a very important step to create such a, you may call it habitat or reservation, or you call it a kindergarten. But eventually the success of the tigers' reintroduction to the wild depends on a lot of efforts, so that these tigers can get used to life in the wild. So that one of the things that I want to emphasize for now is that this tiger should minimize the contact with humans so that they get used to the natural environment.
How much emphasis does China put on protecting animal species? How much of a priority is it, and how did it all come about?
We have seen that China has made efforts in the last decade. Now, 2 things that most monumental, in my opinion, as a wildlife policy specialist. China in 2019 imposed a fishing ban, 10-year fish ban on the Yangtze River, and I'm sure in the years to come, aquatic species on the mighty river and other species will be greatly protected and restored. And also 3 years ago, the China's National People's Congress imposed a wildlife consumption and trade ban, and this will also have tremendous impact on the protection of wildlife species in China.
We know that China recently cloned an endangered wolf. How much of a role does cloning play in conservation efforts?
I have to say that scientists in many different countries have talked about cloning for conservation purposes, but we have to face the many challenges using cloning for conservation. One of the challenges is that there is just not that many available DNA samples to be utilized, so there is a risk of inbreeding, and that would cause animal welfare problems for the clones. And also the cost is tremendous and highly prohibitive. The money used for cloning a few individuals can better be used to restore the habitat and on law enforcement against illegal hunting. But I would say the effort to clone that Arctic wolf is a good try,
Could be the future. Professor Peter Lee, thank you so much for joining us from Houston, Texas.
Thank you.